Early on, not as many people were buying on Amazon. It was kind of a common thing. It was kind of fun to leave feedback.
Because all your rating is it's everything about the sales.
This is the funnest part of my job, is to create software and to solve problems. Product reviews, it's why people started coming to Amazon to see those reviews and to find out, they wanted the price, they wanted this.
Welcome to Dr. Amazon Podcast, the emergency support channel for FBA private label sellers. We invite top Amazon experts to share the most efficient tips and tricks for your businesses. My name is Vitaly Hizhnyak and I am the CGO of Profit Whales. And let's get started.
There is just about no way you can succeed on Amazon if you don't have product reviews and seller feedback. Different tactics and tools can save you. Today we discuss the software that could help you to manage the feedback and sellers reviews with Jay Lagarde, founder and CEO of eComEngine. Welcome back to another episode of the Dr. Amazon podcast. Today we have a very important topic and exciting guest today as the Jay Lagarde, founder and CEO of eComEngine. Hey Jay, and nice to meet you.
Hey, Vitaly, thanks very much for inviting me today. I've never traveled to the Ukraine before, but I'm really excited and looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, that will be our online tour, but today we will speak not about the Ukraine. Today we will speak more about you, about your experience, some questions about the eComEngine, of course, we will also cover. So, Jay, I would be glad to know how you do have right now the eComEngine and you spend a lot of time on that and with this company. But you have started with with preparing or creating some tools for in state of Virginia or for state of Virginia. Could you please tell me more about this story? Because for me, it's some kind of what?
Wow, that's a long time ago. It is true. Before I ever got into starting my own business and serving others, I was working for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And in most developed countries these days, there's what's called administrative law. And there's the big law that's passed by legislators, and there's administrative law, which is typically run by agencies. The EU has it. And so every state, and as well as the federal government in the United States, has administrative law. So the process of creating administrative law involves a very complicated process of going out, getting public comment, taking that in, responding to it. It's a very detailed process. And what we did in much earlier days of the internet is we took that whole process of internal review and external publications and whatever. We put that all on the internet. We had approvals and everything, and it was just a blast to do. And we got a lot of great feedback, both within the United States as well as some international interest in what we had done in Virginia. But one of the things I realized as I was in my job is that this is the funnest part of my job, is to create software and to solve problems. And that's kind of what led me in. I started to sell kind of as a hobby with my wife a little bit on eBay and then Amazon. And I really got into it, and I started getting introduced to other Amazon sellers, and they started asking me to help them with their problems, with their catalog issues, with their integration issues. And it was just, at a certain point I said, I got to start a business with this, to do this. And that's how eComEngine got started.
So you also do have a story of the seller. I mean, like the Amazon seller. You also, yeah?
Oh yeah, I sold on Amazon for a bit. I don't do much of that today, other than we have a test. We have testing that happens just to test things. But no, I can't say I was the largest seller, but in the day we were very well known, and maybe at the time you get up to 1 or 2 million a year. That was big. It's not big anymore, but it was big, especially when you're just 1 or 2 people doing it all. But so that was how I got started. But I soon figured out, you gotta focus at one or the other. You have to really be dedicated. And software was where my heart was, and helping, really helping other sellers to really thrive and grow. I was very excited and still am about the idea of
That is a great story. So, do you remember what was the first software that you have created for the Amazon sellers? Because as I understand, you got like more and more feedback from the Amazon sellers from this sphere. You try to as I understand, to optimize some things, with the help of the software and to create some algorithm for that. And what was the first?
Yeah, it's interesting. The first, you're not going to know what this is because we're well beyond this now. But the first piece of software that we created, which was not custom, but it was a packaged piece of software that we would offer to clients. Now I can't even remember what we called it, but at the time there was an API, and there were very few tools out there that would connect with this Amazon API to grab your orders and stuff. And it was using a technology called SOAP. At the time, which is not really very much in use like it was. And so we built a very nice tool that had great reporting and error checking and everything to be able to move your Amazon data from your server or your local computer and Amazon. And there was only one other company at the time that had done something like this. So we were very early on. Amazon had their own tool, but we think ours was much better, and with much better reporting and so forth. But this was very early, and so that was our first tool. And I'm going to think of what it was called in a minute. You put me on the spot here. I was not expecting this. But that's all good. And then beyond that, our other first tool was really not FeedbackFive. It was really a tool called Smart Price. And we built that in the back end. It was very custom. We did custom rules for people. And then we built an early version of FeedbackFive before it was ever called FeedbackFive. And we made it come to a decision. Which one are we going to work on first? Are we going to do the pricing? Or are we going to do the feedback? And we picked the feedback. And so that was where we really became known as a brand out there in Amazon as a FeedbackFive, as the first tool of its type. And we're still a very small, very scrappy, in a sense, company. I don't mean that we're not very professional. We are. Yeah. We have great customer service. We're very intentional. But we've always wanted to do more with less and to help our customers to do more with less. It's part of what we tried to do.
Yeah, I really like your this topic in the case of the managing the feedback, so monitoring the reviews, and I think that is like one of the most the hottest topic on the Amazon, because right now we could see how everything is working. You couldn't do any move without a strategy that will help you to keep all these reviews and feedbacks on the right good level. Yeah, because all your rating is like. It's everything about the sales. And how do you help Amazon sellers? Because we are absolutely understand that people think that they will provide with the feedback, with the negative feedback more frequently than with the positive feedback. Yeah. And
no question about it. Yeah. And this is, people don't think about it. They don't talk about it as much as they used to, but it's still more important than people realize, because you're going to get negative feedback. It doesn't matter how perfect you are, you're going to get negative feedback. And then the question is, does it affect you? Well, if you're huge and it's all a percentage, it's a numbers game. But when you're starting out, that negative feedback can really hurt you. And we've helped many, many sellers in the day keep from getting booted out by Amazon because of tanking feedback that just came out of nowhere. And we've really helped them to think strategically about it. This was, when we were this was a newer thing, and Amazon was very, very intent on seller feedback. Now, a lot of these metrics and things are very highly automated and so forth. But feedback is still very important. And depending on how large you are, it is very worth the time to be very intentional about that feedback and not just to assume it's going to come in. You want to build it up. And then you also want to address the negative feedback. This is our core, one of our core messages. There are any number of reasons for that. Number one, it helps your standing on Amazon it helps your standing when the Amazon metrics systems. But it also helps you to be a better merchant, because it connects you with your customer. It helps you to be attentive about what's working and what's not. And that kind of personal relationship that you have in serving the customer, we believe, and has always been enabled by being attentive to feedback and then understanding why you're getting the negatives. And if you can, have it removed, have the person become delighted. Sometimes those people you can turn around, become your most raving fans. And we hear that story all the time, even today. And this has been a core part of Amazon's coaching to merchants from the very early days of eComEngine. Yeah. To want to have the merchant focused on the customer, and feedback is one of the key ways that happens.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And do you have any ideas or strategies, maybe how to work exactly with the feedbacks, how to get them more frequently, maybe? Because it's a difficult question for most of the Amazon sellers, how to ask people to do that.
Yeah, and what's interesting is we've been looking at the data on this for well over a decade. And the percentage of orders that get feedback has gone down. And it makes sense, right? Because early on, not as many people were buying on Amazon. It was kind of a common thing. It was kind of fun to leave feedback. Now you're kind of, you buy on Amazon every several times a week or once a week, and I don't need to leave feedback. So the rates have gone down, but we still have very solid data which shows that being intentional about requesting the feedback absolutely does increase the percents. Are they as high as 10%, which we could get years ago? No, it's not 10%. But unless you're in a very boutique area, but it definitely does impact. And the other thing, and we see less of this now, and I'm not sure we'll have time to get into all of this today about the Amazon templates and things that they're doing. But essentially, there's also a branding connection that's made. And if you're a brand, if you are a boutique type merchant, that you are able to encourage repeat buyers. We've always felt that having a custom email that's very well tailored is a way to deliver higher levels of customer service, and well as to build a little bit of a personal connection that will induce repeat sales. And I think that is, in spite of the incredible growth on Amazon, we still believe it's harder to do than it was, but we still feel that is a powerful opportunity that still exists in the marketplace, is to build that brand connection. Whether you're a reseller or a brand, it's still there. There is that possibility to keep that personal connection going on.
Yeah, and that is great. That is great to build a brand, and people provide it with a more trust in this way.
Absolutely.
And that is something that absolutely could help you to get a first feedbacks. And I know that you help Amazon sellers to get the first feedbacks with the help of your tool, like the first Amazon feedback that uses FeedbackFive, right? Could you please tell this story about that also?
Oh, about how FeedbackFive was started?
Yeah. And what is the problem the software helps us to solve?
Well, I mean, it is exactly what you were alluding to. People were getting slammed with bad feedback, or they were new merchants and they wanted to build up feedback so they would look big on Amazon. They could get their presence out there. And I'm like, how do we do that? And what's interesting, before we ever launched FeedbackFive, we were doing this for some pretty, some very well-known brands and even some startup people on Amazon. We were doing this in the background and we were learning about it. And we said, the data shows this really is helpful. And then we said, hey, why do we need to restrict this to just a small number of custom clients that we're working on? Why don't we make this thing into a self-service SaaS tool? And that's what we did. And we didn't do any marketing initially. We didn't even know the word marketing. We were just engineers that wanted to solve, and product people wanted to solve problems. And people started signing up. And I'll tell you what, I was more surprised than anybody else at the feedback we started getting about the feedback about feedback, because this is cool. But I got so energized by what our customers were telling us that it actually boosted my belief in the value of it. That's my personal story on
you start, you like create a flywheel for the feedback and get more and more feedback for you.
And now everybody, I mean, in the last few years, I mean, they're just, everybody asks for feedback and all the tools out there. And so it's kind of, in one way, it's a bummer because we got all these competitors, but it was inevitable. But it's also a validation that we saw something and we got in there and really delivered that value. And I think we felt, and we still do, we felt like we had a important role to play in the early phases of developing the Amazon marketplace.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you here, because a lot of people right now ask these questions around all the Facebook groups in all communities. The feedbacks and how to work with the negative or to get positive feedbacks is like one of the important things. Yes, it's still important. And people still, they do have a chance to start the email marketing correctly, but they do not do it like finally as a brand, for example, or they still do not have any coupons that they could put inside or something like that. Any tool that you could use. Still people do not improve all the things. And I really like it. And in the case of, maybe you have mentioned, what is the main value that you try to give Amazon sellers? I mean that you have created the softwares, and softwares try to speed up most of the processes. And I'm absolutely sure that the feedbacks is one of the main spheres and reviews that here we should react like in a moment. That if we get it, we right now put an answer, start working on that. Is it something that you right now help Amazon sellers to solve?
The problems we're trying to solve for sellers? Well, if it's okay, I mean, we talked about feedback, but reviews is also very worthy of talking about, and product reviews. So we distinguish between seller feedback and product reviews. And I'll be happy to talk about other things as well that we're very focused on. But if it's okay, I'll just say a word or two about product reviews, because, product reviews are, and as important as feedback is, I have to say product reviews are what has, if I had to pick one thing which has been at the core of Amazon's success, the marketplace success that it has achieved, it would be product reviews. And the reason for that is because those product reviews just fundamentally allowed the market that Amazon created to flourish and grow. Because product reviews, it's why people started coming to Amazon to see those reviews and to find out, they wanted the price, they wanted this. And then in the last few years, what we've seen is people don't search on Google nearly as much as they did when they want to find something. They now search on Amazon. And so Amazon has become the search engine of record, certainly in the United States and probably increasingly in other countries. When you're looking for something, you want to figure out, even if you're going to go buy it at the store, at the office store, or rent it down the street, people still go on Amazon and look at the reviews for what they're going to buy. And so what that means is that Amazon is the search engine of record. And that's why, businesses like yours are so important, because instead of buying Amazon ads, they're now buying, instead of buying Google ads, they're now buying Amazon ads. And so Amazon is the new game if you want to advertise for retail products, and even business products, and it goes from there. So that's exciting. So we feel that we have an important role to play in obviously helping and encouraging fundamentally organic, honest reviews. And this is we've all seen it. We've all read the stories all over the press internationally about the fake reviews and really, you have to think from Amazon's perspective. As nice as it is to see a lot of reviews, once you start getting bad reviews, then all the reviews become more suspect. That devalues the whole Amazon platform. It devalues the whole customer experience if you don't trust the reviews. And it also undermines the whole ability for Amazon to win in the search engine war. And so our view is that authentic product reviews is exactly what you want, and that's kind of where we are. We're all about encouraging and enabling and helping people to to get more authentic reviews. And we've been coaching people and informing them how to do this for years. And then the other aspect of it is as we know, is what, you want to watch your reviews, because reviews are a mind. I mean, they're just incredible amount of data. And smart merchants increasingly they're watching their reviews and they're determining what are the good reviews, what are the bad reviews. If you're a brand, it's gold, because that is critical data to understand how your brand is being viewed and how it changes over time on the Amazon platform. And so we feel, one of our missions is really to educate sellers and brands about the power of reviews to help them structure and present their brand on the platform, position their brand, and then to grow and adjust their brand and their messaging based on that feedback loop that comes back to the seller or the brand.
And that is great, because a lot of people right now, they do have a strategy for the reviews on boosting and getting more and more sales for their products. If they do not have it, they will not have like a chance to grow, like correctly to grow. Because like one part that you could get is all reviews organically, but you need to like increase number of your sales to get more and more, because the percentage of these organic sales is not too high. It's really small. It's not, it's miserable, I guess. And according to that, I really like that you educate that the reviews is some kind of the gold, because a lot of people before they launch the product need to go and to check the reviews of the competitors to understand what they need to improve to add to this product for this brand to improve all these things. So in this way, I really like
absolutely. It. And you asked what are the problems they're trying to solve, and I think another problem that we've been working on for a while, and it's still there, is it is the big issue. It's profitability, really. And so we're very much about coaching and beginning to inform people about profitability. And the reason we say that is because new merchants, even sometimes experienced merchants, it's what numbers are you looking at? And it can be very, very difficult to tease out all of the nuance in your supply chain. Where are the costs? Where are the hidden costs? Where are the transportation costs, the return cost? It goes on and on and on. There's all kinds of time costs and costs in there. And so you can have great sales on Amazon, but you may or may not be making the money that you think you're making. And to be very strategic on Amazon, you really have to pay attention to your true profits, your true costs, and get that down. And one of our missions today is to really build in a very strategic reporting structure around profitability. And I think that is highly aligned with the work you're doing, because obviously you're helping launch brands and grow brands, and you're trying to do it in an efficient and effective way. Sometimes, you're not going to be profitable at the beginning because you need to pay for the ads, but what you're doing is you're priming the pump. And we recognize that. And the question is, how do we tell the story to our users in such a way that they can be smarter and more strategic about what they do on Amazon? Because at the end of the day, we want our folks not only to make profit, but we want them to be resilient in the long term on Amazon. And so they'll be here today, but also a year from now or 2 years from now. We want long-term success for our customers. And in order to do that, it's very important that they have tools that will help them be smarter about their jobs. If they get complacent, not a good thing. Not on Amazon. It's not.
Yeah, and that is true. I know that because we analyze and work with the different Amazon sellers. And every time we see that if you will do the analysis, for example, only on the PPC side and check the indicators, you will see that the numbers could be wrong. And people sometimes they see how they compete with themselves. And according to that, they see not a correct data inside their PPC campaigns. And you couldn't do and create some plans for the future, like the long term. You every time see the wrong numbers and you couldn't move in the right way that you want to do. So yeah, absolutely agree with you. And now a lot of Amazon sellers, they are looking for a good P&L, like exactly final
Better
numbers.
believe it. Yep.
I would be glad to know more about you, more about yourself, because we analyze, like we double check a lot of data and info. You every time speak about the eComEngine, but could you please share with us a lot of info about you? What is your main hobby? What do you like to do when you don't work?
What do I like to do? Well, I have personally. My wife and I, we have 7 children, and
Seven, seven children,
that's a
really?
lot. Yeah.
Wow.
So our youngest is 13, and our oldest is 28. She's married, and I've got 2 kids that are graduate students right now, getting PhDs in history. And I was like, how did that happen to me? I'm a software entrepreneur. Why are my kids going into history? And so I find that very intriguing, that they're both going to be PhDs, and my son-in-law is also doing this, and so I'm just that's interesting. But no, I try to stay focused on my kids and my family, of course. One of my hobbies. I mean, I really enjoy boating. I enjoy all kinds of boating. I used to sail quite a bit. I'm kind of looking forward to maybe getting back into sailing a bit more in the next few years. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit of an academic geek. I did not study software in school. Actually, I did study software development a long time ago, and I taught computer programming for a year in high school and math. But beyond that, I went into graduate school and studied, I would say intellectual history or mm-hmm. political theory or philosophy, depending on how you characterize it. And so I love that. I love that field. I like keeping up on different trends and things within the academic world. But I don't have that much time. I just keep up with it a little bit. But, at the end of the day, when I was younger, I said, this is fun, but I can't support a family that much with this. I'm not that good that I'm going to be writing books and all that. So I went into business, and really I love the business as well. And there's a lot of similarities. If you're interested in organizational theory, which is part of, political theory and philosophy, there are really a lot of synergies between that and what you do within business and creating an organization, creating a great culture. There's a lot of synergies between those two. And so that's, a nutshell of what interests me.
And that is great, because I think that the next question, your favorite book, that could be a kind of it.
Wow. I don't know that I have a favorite book.
Maybe some book that you would like to recommend, to the audience, or any podcast or something like that.
I tell you what. This is a favorite book. I'm not sure I recommend that anybody read it, but I enjoy it just because it's part of my academic training, and it's also a part of common sense in my view. And I would say Aristotle. So I would say, the ethics, the politics. There are all kinds of books of Aristotle, and people don't read Aristotle very much, but there's a resurgence of Aristotle these days among social scientists, psychologists, and even some business theorists. You're seeing more and more. So the positive psychology movement that came out of University of Pennsylvania, it's very interested in Aristotelian, and there are some top business thinkers as well that right now. Drucker certainly was a bit of an Aristotelian, and some current contemporary business thinkers are also very much getting more interested in Aristotle's basic ideas about how organizations work, and so that's pretty geeky, but
still, yeah. That is interesting, Yeah. And great. If we speak about the Amazon, what next trends for the 2021 you see?
Trends for Amazon? Mm-hmm. Wow, you're gonna have to raise my salary if I can answer that. I think Amazon is it's fascinating. Amazon is fascinating, how fast it's grown, how big it's grown, how it says it is the most customer-centric company on earth. It is its core, one of its core mantras, if you will. And I think there's just an immense amount that Amazon has done, for us in the U.S. and worldwide. But I also have to think that there are spaces out there that are not fundamentally encapsulated within Amazon's business model. And so this is why we tell people that, Amazon can't be all things to all people. There are aspects of small business, small connections, and local. Nobody can do it all perfectly. Nobody can do everything perfectly. And so I tell people and folks that, Amazon is great and you can grow on Amazon, but there are other things out there. They're not every consumer need is going to be achievable in this type of a situation. So I love I think it's great for Amazon. It's great for everybody to see the competitors, the fact that Walmart is rising and challenging and other things as well. I think it's just healthy for the marketplace. And I think that I think what we saw in COVID was a very interesting resurgence of I'm going to just call it local e-commerce, where you've got more deliveries going on and you've got more people putting in an order to Target and then going to pick it up and have it put in the trunk. I think that reshuffled the deck a little bit in how e-commerce is going to grow. I don't know the answers, but I'm very keen to see what happens.
Yeah, and that's why I really like your trends and the main understanding on what it could be. And the last question for today: who should be the next guest for the Dr. Amazon podcast?
I didn't answer this on your questionnaire. I'm just going to throw. A good friend of ours is a brand. I don't know whether you've had him on before. He's a consultant. He works with small brands. He really knows his stuff about Amazon. He's very detailed. Guy named Shannon Roddy, and I recommend that you interview Shannon. He's great. So talk to him.
That is great. We will try to contact him. And Jay, thank you so much for this story, for all these insights. And I hope that all this info will be useful for our audience. And nice to meet you today.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the time. Okay. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that is all for today's Dr. Amazon episode. Do not miss our future arrivals with new hot topics. Press the like button, leave us a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. We will come back to you shortly.